Well, this is the I Don't Know What I'm Talking About podcast on the I Don't Know channel. And this is a reaction to Knicks Cavs game one. And it was a great game. Overtime game. Knicks do what they do, or at least when I watch them, because, I watched the Boston series last year. And they come back on teams, they close teams so well, close games so well, and they ended up winning that game. I'm going to go over the Knicks. How Evan Mobley started aggressive and he could be really good. Comparing Keon, Ellis to Jaylon, Tyson in the Cavs rotation, and Donovan Mitchell's passivity, if that's a word, or how he's still too passive. So yeah, focus on the Knicks. If you watch my other podcasts, I haven't really been watching these NBA games, so when I watch teams for the first time, I usually just focus on one team, so I really focus on the Knicks. And to me, the thing about the Knicks, like last year against the Celtics, to me, Brunson and Bridges are the best two closers in the whole NBA. Not the best players by far, really, but they're the best two closers. And Brunson didn't even do it that much tonight. I think a lot of the stuff he was getting was floaters. He was just getting by James Harden and just getting easy floaters. But they're leaning jump shots, especially the mid-range jump shots. I don't think either of them did that in the clutch tonight. But Bridges did have one leaning three. You just can't block their shots, and they hit them so well. And towards the end, it's just knockdown. And towards the end, Brunson's just knocked down on any shot he takes. He hit like almost all his floaters, almost all his threes, and they were just going at James Harden. And James Harden just didn't want to play defense, which I'll get into that. But to me, Brunson and Bridges are just the best closers in all the NBA, and that's why. I didn't really go over and when I did March Madness, I went through and watched all the teams intently or kind of intently, whatever, and then I made my picks. I didn't do that with the NBA this year. I did it last year. My bracket didn't end up well, but I just picked the teams, and I picked the Knicks over the Thunder in the end because of that. Because I watched the Knicks Celtics series last year, and the Knicks just were down so many. Maybe all four of the games they won, at least some of them, or at least like three of them. And it would just get to a point where Brunson and Bridges would take over, especially Brunson. But I think Bridges gets underrated in his clutchness too, because he has shots that can't be blocked with his high release and his leaning ability, and he just has the clutchness to knock them down at a super high rate. And I think the Knicks, if you take that clutchness away from them, I think a good bit of teams are better than them. But, I think the Thunder are better than them. I think the Spurs are better than them. I think the Cavs are better than them. Honestly. But, they're just going to keep it close, and in the end, when everybody kind of freezes up a little bit, they don't, and they just hit shots, Brunson and Bridges, and that's why I think they're going to win the whole thing. I think Max Kellerman said a long time ago, because he's really into analytics, and he's really smart, and I like listening to him, but he said there's no difference between a regular jump shot in the first quarter and the jump shot to win the game or tie the game and send it to overtime. And that's just not true. And I believed him when he said it, even while, playing basketball at a not very high level at all. But if you played basketball at a high level at all, or at any level, not a high level at all, but at any level at all, you know that taking the final shot, your body can tense up a little bit. You can get chills. You just get nervous, and you still have to be able to hit shots through all that. I mean, it's not just psychological, it's physiological. And when you have a team that's just not gonna basically gets no nerves or knows how to conquer their nerves at every consistently at the end of games, and they're just going to hit all their shots, and they're going to get shots that you can't block, and there's really not much you can do about it. It doesn't really matter that teams are like overall better than them. They keep the game close, and then they just kill the very end of the game. Because Cleveland overall, you take the clutch part away from them, I think Cleveland's a better team. I think the Knicks are a better defensive team and a better offensive team as far as the system of both. But Cleveland's defense is actually underrated now. I don't think they're that far behind New York. But to me, they have three of the four most talented offensive players. And I'd say Mitchell's first, Harden second, Towns is third. And then I'd say Mobley is even more talented offensively than Brunson as far as his ability to get to the rim, his dribble moves, how wide his crossovers are, how he can get players to go to the other way, he can go to the post, he has aggressive spin moves, all this stuff. So, to me, you take the clutch part away from it. They're a better team than New York. But they're not going to blow New York out. I mean, they were up on them by a lot, honestly. And New York came back and made it close. As long as New York can keep it close, they just do better at the end. And that's why I think they're going to win the whole thing. Getting to Harden and how they attacked him. Harden's just not going to play defense. And I don't know. They went at him every time. I'm not saying he gave no effort, but it's just not enough. He just doesn't give enough effort on defense. He has great hands. He'll have plays where he guesses right, and he gets in front of people, and he gets steals. He only had one steal tonight, but it felt like more. He has great hands. But he's not going to play consistently hard on defense. And they figured that out towards the end, and they probably should do that a lot more, honestly. Have Brunson just attack Harden. And then Cleveland was having to throw these semi-double teams. I don't know if these semi-double teams, you might just need to hard trap somebody. I know NBA players don't want to do that, their conditioning and all that. But the Knicks were doing semi-double teams earlier in the game, too, and they were not working. And Cleveland was getting open shots and open looks. Sam Merrill had a good game. He had 12 points. And I don't know if these semi-double teams work. But it worked to some extent for Cleveland because it at least got Brunson away from Harden in a one-on-one situation, but it still got them open looks. Like I know Bridges hit a three, and it just got players in open space. You might as well go ahead and trap somebody and then cut off the nearest passing lanes and have one guy play, kind of in the middle between the other two passing lanes the best he can. And if, force someone to make a really tough long pass out of a trap, that'd be the best thing. These semi-double teams, I know they don't want to go that hard all the time and wear themselves down, and I get that as NBA players, but I don't know if these semi-double teams really work, but I think New York should attack Harden because Harden just won't play defense up to the level he needs to. I mean, he's just getting blown by Brunson, and I don't know. I think they should really look at that. So I talked about New York's defense a little bit. I think it's gotten better from last year. I know Mike Brown, he's followed Tibbs, and I really think their offense isn't that much different. Honestly, they talk about how their ball movement and all that stuff. There might be a little more ball movement from Tibbs last year, which is good. It helps. And a little more get the ball to Cat. But it's really a lot of Brunson off of high screens. It's almost the same thing. So there's a little improvement in their offense. And I think their defense has improved some too. I think their defense was good last year and it's went up another level. They have a really high intensity a lot of the time. But they just don't keep it consistent enough as far as their ball pressure. I think Cat is still a liability on defense to some extent, but not as much as last year. He's improved a lot. So I think that's good. I think that really helps them. But yeah, I think they got a really good defense. Yeah, it's like I said, their offense is fine. I've just heard NBA players and people who talk about the NBA talk about how the James Harden thing isn't going to work, where you get the high ball screen and just everybody around and everybody just watches him. But that's pretty close to what the Knicks do, and that's pretty close to what a lot of teams do. A lot of teams will have a little action at the beginning, and then they get into the high ball screen or the isolation, and that's it. But Knicks really don't do that. They have action sometimes, but it's really just high ball screen Brunson, high ball screen Brunson, set a screen to get Brunson open, and then get Brunson in a high ball screen or isolation. They do some stuff with Cat at the top of the key and at the elbows, which I think is good to get him involved, because I really think he's their most talented offensive player. But, it's also, I wonder if, people say Brunson's getting the ball too much, and he probably is. But in a way, does it keep him in rhythm for the end of the games, which is their main thing? So should he really actually be getting the ball as much as he should? And he's their second best player to me. But him and Bridges are the most important players to me, because they're the main reason why they're so dangerous to me, because of what they do at the end. So some people would probably say that makes them their best players, but I think they could get more motion in their offense, but it's working. If you got something that's working, like how their system is working, maybe you should go with conventional wisdom and just kind of do what they're doing. If it gets them in a rhythm for the end of the games, and the end of the games is why they're so good, maybe there shouldn't be as much motion. Maybe it should be force feed Brunson, but I don't know. It'd be tough to think about as a coach. Also for Cat, they run. I think it's good. I didn't really see this a lot last year, but they do get it to him in the high post, and they do get it to him at the top. But they also run kind of sets where he ends up diving across the lane and posting up on the other side, or getting a pass on the other side and finishing. And I think that helps a lot. I think that helps get him in a rhythm. I think he's more active than the stats say. He only took 14 shots, but he had 5 assists, 13 points, 13 rebounds. I think they're getting him more involved than you would think. He actually had 7 turnovers, so that also shows how much he had the ball. But yeah, I thought he played well tonight. Josh Hart. I thought Josh Hart was great defensively. His ball pressure was great, and one of the more consistent on the team, if not the most. Maybe either him or Miles McBride. I might want to say Miles McBride, but he played great. For someone who really can't handle the ball that well, as far as his tightness of his handle, I think he uses his leverage really well and gets downhill a lot better than a lot of people who would have not as tight a handle would. And he crashes the glass really hard, and I think that helps. OG Anunoby didn't have the most efficient night, but he went 8 for 10 for the line, which I think a lot of those came late, honestly. And he can get downhill pretty well, but his handle has to get better for him to be an elite player, because I think he really does have the talent he's not far away from being like a star, honestly. His handle needs to be a little tighter, maybe, and like he could draw out his moves more and stuff like that and just be a little more aggressive. But maybe that's not what they need in this system. But I think he's very talented, and I also think he's a great shooter. He didn't show it tonight, but I remember in the Celtics series and other years, like the Pacers 2 years ago, I remember when he came back in from being hurt and he tried to play, and the shot, like, he didn't play that many minutes, but he hit like 2 shots, and they were tough shots. He's a tough shot maker. So I think he's good. I think he helped out the team. He didn't have his best game, but it still helped out the team. Um, uh, I also think the Cavs, one advantage the Cavs have, I think, is they're just better at attacking the rim. Um, like I already said, most offensively talented. But like, even if I was to say best at attacking the rim, I would say Mitchell 1, Harden 2, Towns 3, Mobley 4, Brunson 5, and then I'd probably say Schroeder 6. Um, I just think they're that's going to help the Cavs if they can win because they're just better at getting downhill, kicking it out for others for open shots, or just getting downhill all the way, or getting downhill and taking a floater. Um, so I think they could help. OG Anunoby could work on his ball handling some to be better at it. Same with Josh Hart. Same with Shamet. Actually, Bridges probably gets downhill better than Schroeder, but I mean he still could get better at it. And McBride, honestly, his handle is not as good as I thought it was. Alvarado, his handle's not as good as I thought it was as far as getting downhill. Clarkson, it seems like it's this age, just more of a shooter. So, and then the Cavs have a lot of, like, Merrill's more of a shooter. He can get down a little, but get downhill a little. Same with Max Strus. Keon Ellis, he was barely in tonight, but he really didn't show that much of getting downhill. Dean Wade doesn't really. So, but I mean, when you take Mobley, Mitchell, Harden, and Schroeder, it just seems like that combination, they're better at getting downhill than the Knicks. So that could really help Cleveland. I thought Shamet played really good, hit some big time shots, had 9 points. He played a lot of the clutch minutes, a lot of the overtime and fourth quarter minutes. He went 3 for 4 from the field, 3 for 3 from 3. Just came in and hit big shots, got minutes that way. Miles McBride didn't score. Like I said, he doesn't handle the ball or really get downhill as much as I thought he did. But he still really defended. He had 5 fouls, so he was being aggressive on defense, and was probably their most consistent defender throughout the night. Alvarado played really well. He got, I said he doesn't get downhill as much as maybe he needs to for them to be a better team, but he still was downhill some. He was good. He had 2 little floaters he hit, which were really good, where he kind of deceived the defense into thinking he might pass or dribble somewhere else and got up a quick floater. And I think he really helps their team. I think it also helps. He does that stuff where, he's hiding in the corner. Like, say the Knicks score and he goes and hides in the corner instead of going back on defense. And then they'll inbound the ball and then he'll try to, come by and steal the ball from the ball handler. And I think all that stuff, even if he doesn't steal the ball, as long as he doesn't make a gamble to where it's going to hurt the team and they get an easy layup, which to me he doesn't. He can make that gamble and try to get a steal in the backcourt by coming up behind somebody, trying to sneak up on them, and still be able to get back in on defense in time because he's fast. So I think all that stuff helps. It just bothers the defense. I know people say a lot of time, don't even do that stuff. Don't bother with it because they're NBA players. They're not going to be affected. Don't bother pressing and all this stuff. But every little bit of stuff that people have to go through as far as like making sure they take care of the ball and not get it stolen for someone coming behind him or full court pressure. That just wears on you. Sometimes it's not even about the taking the ball. It's about just wearing and wearing and wearing on the offensive players on the offense, and that's just going to affect them as the game goes on, and that'll give you an advantage. You'll be able to get easier shots. You'll be able to cause more turnovers. You'll be able to get better rebounds because they don't go for it as much. A lot of the game is just stamina, I think. A lot of the game is just conditioning and, you being able to be at 80% when they're at 40% or 70 when they're at 50 or whatever, and that's a lot of your conditioning, and some of that's just strategies within the game of wearing the other team down, whether it's through physicality, whether it's through stuff like Jose Alvarado does in the backcourt or full court pressure. I think that stuff really helps. His on-ball defensive pressure is not as high as I thought it would have been for like an elite defender. Or supposed to be an elite defender. A lot of guys on this team really pressure the ball better than he does. Clarkson, McBride, Shamet probably does. Brunson honestly probably does. Bridges, Anunoby, and Hart. Really all the other guards and wings pressure the ball more than Jose Alvarado, so he probably could get better at that. Clarkson doesn't drive as much as I thought he would, but he's a threat to hit from three, and I thought he played well. Made one bad foul from three where the guy hit the three. That's what he hit the three, and Jordan Clarkson fouled him. I don't even remember who it was, but overall he still played good. Played with a lot of energy. Played hard on defense, so I thought he played good. Mitchell Robinson, he really helps. He plays physical. He's a good rim protector. I think he's an underrated rim protector. Didn't have a block today, but I think he altered a lot. And I think he's gotten more and more physical the more I see him. And he gets a lot of rebounds. Had 6 rebounds in only 14 minutes, so that's pretty good. And they had to only play him 14 minutes because, Cleveland was up by double digits, and then they just started fouling Mitchell Robinson, and he could not hit a free throw. And if he's that much of a liability at the line, you just can't keep him in, especially if they're going to foul him. He went 2 for 8 from the line today, and he just shoots a line drive free throw. I don't understand why he can't try to get any arc on it. I know now is not the time, but it is just so line drive. And the announcer said it. They just said there's little margin for error with a shot like that. You got to get it right on. So I don't know. I don't see why he can't get a little bit of arc on it. He's a good player. He's active. He plays hard. He's a better defender than Karl Anthony Towns. He's more active. He has less lulls and stuff like that. So he really helps the team, and it's just sad that he can't find a way to stay out there with his free throw problems. So yeah, so that was the Knicks. That was going over the Knicks. Gonna move on to the Cavs. Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley, I know he's been compared to, he's supposed to be like Kevin Garnett or someone like that. And I see why with the talent, why he's compared to such great players. Because he's super talented. When the game started, he was super aggressive. He got to the rim when he posted up and had great spin moves, aggressive, tough spin moves. And, watching Donovan Mitchell and watching Evan Mobley in a lot of Cavs games recently, it's made me realize how much better a player is when they're aggressive. When Donovan Mitchell is more passive or he's more hesitant with his dribble moves or just lackadaisical, he's a way worse player than when he's aggressive when his moves and they're hard, they're tough moves, and he's really attacking the paint. He's a way better player. And the same with Evan Mobley. When Evan Mobley is not as sure about what he's doing. And I realize you have to figure stuff out within a game. But when he's just not as sure about what he's doing, when he's not attacking, trying to get to the rim, when he's not physical, dribbling into the defender in the post and then spinning off of him, when he's just kind of out there more and just trying to, have a few dribbles and then pass it, he's a way worse player than when he's aggressive. They're like two totally different players. And he could just be really, really, really good. I think if he's more consistently physical and more physical and he got stronger and he's just more aggressive, he could be their best player. And I know everybody's kind of looking for him to take that leap. And I think he can, and I think he's getting better. I also want to talk about Keon, Ellis, and how it was different with him being in the rotation compared to Jaylon Tyson. Because I've said, I don't know how many podcasts ago, but that he should take the minutes instead of Jaylon Tyson at that last rotation spot, and it really didn't help. Honestly, he had 2 turnovers in 5 minutes. He did have 2 points, but he had 2 turnovers in 5 minutes, and he also didn't catch the ball once. So he really didn't play that good. And I'm not saying pull him from the rotation, but I'm just saying, I said put him in there instead of Jaylon Tyson. And I would still say he's probably a better player than Jaylon Tyson, but I'm just saying going off today, it really didn't make much of a difference. Jaylon Tyson didn't really have a good game last game either, so I don't know what to do about that last rotation spot. And the last thing is Donovan Mitchell's is still too passive, which sounds weird because he got 23 shots up tonight. He had 29 points. And the second highest scoring player was James Harden and Evan Mobley tied for 15. Second highest shots attempted were James Harden and Evan Mobley tied for 16 shots. But, they said it on the broadcast. He didn't even do that much in overtime. James Harden did a lot of it. And I don't know, he's just a better player than James Harden, and he needs the ball, and he needs to demand the ball a lot of times, and I just think James Harden is getting too much of it, and they're just a better team when he's aggressive, especially you're playing a team like this who was so great at the end. You need to be more forceful at the end too, and it's like he backed off towards the end instead of push forward to me. So I just think they're a better team when he's their best player and he's aggressive. So he just needs to be more aggressive. He had twice as many points as James Harden and Evan Mobley. He had 29, they both had 15. And he had 23 shots and they had 16 shots. So he had about a third more shots than both of them and had twice as many points about. So he's just more efficient. He's a better player. And he just needs the ball. So that's about it. That's the podcast, and thank you for anybody that's listening, anybody that's viewing my videos, and hope y'all have a good one.